So I want to start by welcoming you. This is our first growth meeting of the fall. I think you all know that growth stands for the Gerontology Research Outreach Workforce Development and Teaching Hub. We owe the W to Lori Kennedy Malone. I used to misspell growth. This is our first meeting of the fall semester. This was supposed to be a reception. So please feel free to have coffee or whatever, adult beverage or whatever you have available to you. We actually wanted to have a reception last spring. So this is the second time we haven't had a reception where we intended to do it. But I'm hoping this works as a partial substitute. First, I want to start by thanking the Growth Faculty Executive Committee. We tag teamed in planning this and the rest of our agenda all over the summer. I already mentioned Noah Lenstra, who's going to be my backup person if things go wrong while I'm running this. Other members of the Faculty Executive Committee, I'm just admitting one of them actually, Francis Bottenberg, Ji Young Wang, Lori Kennedy Malone, who's already here moving around the screen as people join us. Last year I want to mention Jennifer Atmeyer, who has stepped down from the executive committee, but has been with us since the beginning. So I want to recognize her contributions. And I would like to welcome Jaclyn Maher, who has joined us in her stead and has been working with us to plan this. I guess with her son in her lap. Now I'll know how to envision that. But I want to welcome you all here and to thank you for putting up with all my random emails all summer trying to figure out how to do this. You should have received, if you're a member of Growth, you should have received our annual report at some point attached to one of the messages that went out. If you didn't get it, let me know and I'll send it to you again. I'm not going to go over our whole report, but let's just say we had a really successful year last year. Attached to that report was some work that Dan Perlman did. I might add, while he was retired, he has retired. It shows that our research, aging research on campus has increased more than it should have given the percentage of faculty we have on campus working in this area. So we're very pleased that this network seems to be working. The other thing I want to mention that's in that report is all of our meetings this fall will be via Zoom. We have dates saved for the spring as well, and we'll decide what will happen then when we get a little bit closer to that time period. I see people are still, I think everybody who's in the waiting room has now been admitted. So I want to introduce a couple of people to you. Screen so I can see you all, yes. Let's see, I don't see one of the two people I need to introduce yet. So let me start by introducing Charlitha Jordan. I want to also thank Beverly Lucas, who has previously provided staff support for gerontology and growth. She's still with the social work department and still helping behind the scenes, but Charlitha's taken over as our main staff support person. And she and I have been working, trying to figure out how to make this thing work in our new normal, and I really appreciate that. So thank you, Charlitha. She's the person who has sent out all the invitations and keeps track of you guys. If we were on campus, she'd be making the room arrangements and everything else. So thank you, Charlitha.
You're welcome.
I'll come back. Are you there, Charlie? If you moved, do you want to say anything?
No, I was just saying you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate your work. Um, let's see, I do not see the other person I want to introduce yet, so I'll hold off on that. What I intend to do today, I have a bunch of people who've contacted me who are seeking collaborators. And that's what growth is all about. My main job as coordinator is to be matchmaker, trying to match faculty across campus, faculty with community partners with faculty, all for the purpose of our mutual interest, furthering our mutual interest in supporting the aging infrastructure and aging well and older adults and everything we all care about. So that's the purpose of this meeting. If we make one good match and one good project comes out of it, or one student has a better career as a result of this meeting, I'll consider this to be a success. So let me just see, I'm looking for one more person on here. Looks like we all fit. If nobody else comes, I can see you all. Oh, wait a minute. No, there is another page. Let's see. Nope. Okay. Well, I will come back to introductions later. Now, so the way I'm going to do this is, first I'm going to call on these people I've spoken to in advance, and they're each going to take between 2 and 5 minutes to talk about a project that they have that might be able to involve some collaborators. And then, there is this chat feed where you can communicate with each other. And you can also, if you have resources you want to share, post them there, your contact information or links to any information that you think is relevant to the discussion we're having. And then I'll harvest that after the meeting. We're recording the chat stream, and I'll harvest it. And I'm either going to send out an email with attachments, or I'll upload it in online and send you the link to where the information is, so that everybody can connect with each other afterwards. But if it's just a matter of an email address, it's possible people will just see it on the chat during the meeting and not have to wait for the email. At the end of the meeting, I'll go around and give everybody who hasn't spoken or introduced themselves yet a chance to do that, so that we'll know who was here. And I think that, given all of that, I'm just going to check once more to see who's here, and then we'll get started. Okay, well, once again, welcome. And I'd like to invite our first speaker to say a few words. Odell Cleveland, who is the CAO of Mount Zion Baptist Church, has an exciting project that he'd like to talk a little bit about. And Odell, take it away.
First, just to say good evening, and thank you, Rebecca and the team, for inviting us here this evening. We talked about Mount Zion. Mount Zion is a 119-year-old African-American church. Everyone's invited, but we're predominantly African-American church. We all understand that. About 6,800 members, and I serve as one of the leaders there, gatekeeper leader, all those type of things. And we are looking for partnerships around our aging members and our congregation. We have a big vision. We look at it as a blank canvas, more or less. We have everything from 40-something acres of land to a lot of facilities to some resources, to just think outside the box. We're not looking for opportunities to duplicate and replicate what's already out there. We're looking for people with vision and people who doesn't mind taking calculated risk. Calculation risk is the main thing, to see how can we better serve? How can we come up with a better way of serving our aging population? And I think that's kind of where we are. Preachers start talking a lot, so I'll cut it off there. But one of the things that's so important here is the fact that I am an adult caregiver for my aging mother, along with my sisters and brothers. So as someone who's been a part of Mount Zion for 36 years as a member, I've watched the aging process grow. I've watched the church grow. I've seen where the holes are. And a lot of times those who were there from the beginning get left behind. So my mission is to make sure that we try to make sure that the people in the church and the community, this is just not for Mount Zion Church, but the people in the church and the community can get some of the best, can have a better quality of life. And I think Trala and everyone, my good friend, when you started saying matching people up, I said, hey, I want to match up with Mark Hensley. Excuse me, that's an inside joke though, on the fact that you have good people here, Rebecca. There's a lot of people who I see, I know, a lot of people I don't know, but those who I know, like Mark and like Stephanie and others who I've dealt with, they're good people. So I always like to be around good people who understand partnership. So I'll be quiet at that point. So thank you for having me. And I don't think I took 5 minutes. For a Baptist preacher, that's pretty good.
Right, college professors have the same problem, so you have my empathy. I also want to mention Odell has written a book about being a caregiver, so he's also a gerontological author, not just a community partner. My undergraduates are going to be reading chunks of that book this semester. Okay, and a new friend, Jose. Would you like to talk a little bit about your project? Elise Eifert, who I did not introduce, but my partner in crime in gerontology, and I met with Jose just last week, and we're very excited about what he has to share as well.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I met with Rebecca and Elise. It was a very gratifying meeting. Let me just tell you how we came to know each other. Last fall, my company, I'm the CEO of a company called Kinkeepers.
Sorry, I should have said that.
Yes, and we received a grant from the state of Virginia via the Department of Health and Human Services, CMS, to improve the quality of life of seniors in nursing homes using technology. And then the pandemic occurred. It came to us in March, and we basically were in an interesting situation of having this grant, but could not implement it because what we proposed to do was not now possible because we couldn't go to the nursing home. So we had to rewrite what we were going to do with the funds. And what we decided to do was focus in on the forces that are tearing nursing homes apart due to the pandemic. These are the centrifugal forces that are moving staff and administrators in one direction, families in another, and then the residents in yet another direction. So what we wanted to do was find a way to bring those three forces back together. And we came up with an idea of using the funds to give a little bit to everybody. So starting with the staff and administrators, what we proposed was infectious disease control devices, electrostatic sprayers, and UV lights that sanitize the environment. Surprisingly, many nursing homes had not heard about that. And in addition to that, we wanted to empower the staff itself, the turnover of caregivers. We wanted to see if we could find a way to bring to that that workforce training. It could be training in gerontology, and the intent was to offer these caregivers, who for the most part are essential but underpaid workers, a way to get a leg up on their skills. Perhaps that would motivate them to stay longer. Perhaps it would motivate them to stay in the field, which is desperately needed. So in that regard, we're interested in hearing any kind of proposals from gerontology schools across the country, but particularly in North Carolina, that may give us an idea. One idea that came out was to pay for the the required instruction that that people who aspire to be administrators and take an AIT program have to pay, make them kind of co-administrators with a willing nursing home administrator manager. So that addressed the component of the administration and the staff. And then we only had two left. We had to deal with the families and the residents. For the families, we felt that they were desperately wanting to be involved. However, in a time of coronavirus, they could get in the way. Nursing homes don't want them around necessarily. It creates a great sense of anxiety to read in the press about the outbreak of the pandemic across nursing homes all over the country. And so what we envisioned for them to kind of get them involved, but at the same time make it constructive, was a radio station, a radio podcast that we were going to do over the internet. The radio podcast can be heard from anywhere in the world because it's on the internet. And it's going to be envisioned as a Saturday morning podcast from 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning. And again, I'm inviting all of you who are listening to see if you would like to participate in this. The radio podcast, the theme of it is to be somewhat tongue-in-cheek, humorous, because it's titled Grandma Talk. And what's the intention of it is to expose a problem that a resident may be having in the nursing home, of the many that you can imagine that would be amusing in some context, and we're trying to make it seem amusing, but at the same time positive. And then on the other side, invite to that podcast people who can offer solutions. The amusing part is to attract a wider audience of people, but the solution part is to attract individuals, startups, anyone who feels that they may have something to offer on that topic that can be constructive. And we're going to record that podcast, and we're going to be making it available to 423 nursing homes in the state of North Carolina. And then finally, there's one last leg of the stool, because I already talked about administration staff, and I talked about family. The most important one is the resident themselves. The seniors oftentimes are not included or not allowed to participate. And yet the grant that we received from CMS is earmarked for the improvement of the quality of life of the seniors. So we scratched our head and we figured that the only way we're going to make that happen is to create our own voice assistant. You are probably familiar with Amazon Alexa and Google Home. Well, we're creating our own that makes it possible for a resident to be understood. It has a certain amount of technology that can recognize behavioral patterns using things like artificial intelligence. But the key thing about it is residents and seniors in general at some point in their life live repetitive patterns in the day. You know, they start their days and pretty much go through routines that repeat themselves. And our solution of a voice assistant is clever enough to understand those patterns and clever enough to understand what people are trying to say, even though they have cognitive impairment. So if a resident is saying, bring me the thing in the next room on the table, and nobody understands what that means, instead of it leading to frustration, the voice assistant articulates that as bring me my glasses, for example. So what we're trying to do is have the residents feel included. They are able to participate in the radio casts that go on Saturdays, because the whole idea is inclusion. And with that, we feel that the three forces that were separating the nursing homes or disintegrating them could be brought back into alignment and perhaps stimulate a dialogue as to what we can do better. So I'm going to stop right there and invite any of you who would like to participate either on the training side, which is intended for the staff, or on the podcast side, which is intended for the family, to please just either let me know or contact me by email. Rebecca, Alice both have my my coordinates, and I'd be happy to entertain all of you. We have to get this all wrapped up rather quickly because the fiscal year ends September 30th, and we're starting the September now. So I have only about 10 days to kind of put these ideas forward to CMS and see that they will adopt them.
Right. And Jose, first of all, I want to say my internet appears to be unstable. It's never been unstable before. It figures it would happen while I'm doing this. So if I disappear, Noah will take over and just have to ask for who's next because I didn't share the list with him.
Jose,
Jose, it would be good if you posted your contact information on the chat feed so people who want it right away, since your need is so time sensitive, I will send it out, but it would be good to have it there as well. I want to go back to the beginning of the program before we move on with our next scheduled announcement. And introduce Dr. Chantelle Caro, who's joined us. She's in the middle of my screen, but I don't know where she is on yours. We are very pleased, Elise and I, to have a third faculty member joining us, a third full-time faculty member. Some of you know Corinne Alman, who also teaches in the program, but you know she's not full-time as she has her own business. But Chantelle, would you like to say anything to the group? This is
Hi, everyone. Rebecca did give me a heads up and I still didn't plan anything to say. So I'm just excited to be here with all of you, excited to be at UNCG. My PhD is in aging. I'm coming from a human development department at Connecticut College. So I'm really excited to be with a group of professionals, scholars who are already invested in aging and aging issues and not having to kind of convince the students and people around me that it's important and that we should put time and effort into it. So just excited to be here and thank you for letting me be a part of this.
welcome, Chantelle. I know that Elise is especially happy to have her in the graduate program. Okay, let's see, Lisa, there you are down there. Next up is Lisa Taylor, who's substituting for Tyresa Washington, who some of you probably saw because I've been posting about it on the UNCG Gerontology Facebook page, that Tyresa just received a supplement to a grant, and this supplement is focused specifically on kinship care. She calls it the kinship care study. Are you still there?
yes, I'm right here.
Okay, go right ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Rebecca. I am happy to be here. I'm so sorry I'm not able to show even my picture. I don't know what's going on with the Zoom camera today, but at least you all are able to hear me okay. Again, I'm Lisa Taylor, and I am working with Dr. Washington, and we are working on kinship caregivers, connected to the family's impact on the development of African-American children in the kinship care. I have a love for it. Like Pastor Odell was just speaking about, I took care of my grandmother until she was 98, and I took care of my mother until she was 97. And being a caretaker is just no joke. But what happens when you have the actual elderly person that has to turn around and take care of the children? From firsthand experience, I can say that because my grandmother never finished school and my mother only went to the 4th grade, they couldn't help me with my homework. They didn't know anything, any type of technology, and I'm over 50, so it's nowhere near what it is now. So I have such a passion for those that are trying their best to take care of grandchildren and nieces and whatever that looks like for younger children to be in the care of elderly people who very well might not have all the tools necessary. So with that, the kinship study really did touch my heart, because it does make a serious impact on children, whether it be from stress, from behavior, just different type of outcomes. And well, of course, because of the study, we are trying to figure out exactly what that is, number wise. But the purpose of the study is so that we can learn more about that, and so that we can find out what the strengths are, as well as, gather resources in order to help the people. I'm on the research team, so I'm doing the interviews with the kinship caregivers, and the interviews basically to talk about what that looks like and what it is that they're going through, so that when they answer all the questions, we're able to put that together. But the best part about it is, even being on the phone with them, they're so excited that someone recognizes that what they're doing is really, they're starting all over again. They're raising children all over again. So, and there are so many of them. So we do have criteria. Again, this is great for this collaboration, because if you all know someone that is raising a child, then that's going to, of course, help us. The criteria is you must be African American, over 18, taking care of a related child ages 5 to 12. You can be a grandparent, you can be an aunt, you could be an uncle, a sibling. And of course, we know through CPS, DSS, that they have kinship care going on. But so many times with the population that we're talking about, what we run into, it doesn't mean that they're not there, but for a lot of them, they don't want DSS sometimes involved, because the children are taken away and placed outside the home. That doesn't always happen, but based on what the situation is, some of them are very fearful. So they're taking care of these children on their own, sometimes with no help from CPS or DSS. So we are also, another piece of the criteria is, again, the child must be between the ages of 5 and 12. So they take part in the interview, the behaviors, the health, the family outcome. We normally say it's about 60 to 120 minutes, but based on if you get a talker or not. We try our best not to go overboard, but like I said, sometimes they're just so excited that someone cares, that they're doing it, that they want the information, and they can talk a little bit more. But it shouldn't take that long. And there's an incentive. We're giving them $50 to be able to do this, to take part of this. And, if any of you know anyone that fits that, and Rebecca does have the flyer that I believe Dr. Washington sent you the flyer. I'll go ahead and put a little bit of information in here before I jump off, because I too am a pastor in High Point and of a small church. But again, finding out in churches that so many people fit the criteria and just don't have the help, just really need the help. Along with that, I also work with Family Solutions, Chris and Anita Faulkner, and I do group therapy for grandparents, so that I can try my best to help them. So many times they're feeling overwhelmed and they're caught up in that daily grind of raising a child, and they're also suffering from stress because their children might be on drugs, locked up, in bad situations, whatever that looks like. And they're raising this child, but with the concern of the child, but also the concern of their own child that's out there, So we find that they need support. So I also do a support group for non-biological parents as well, that have transitioned into taking care of children, and also in that, trying to teach them different things. I'm a social worker, I'm, an MSW, so I'll do teaching behavior management skills, healthy communication with the child, stress management, limit setting. Sometimes they don't understand where to draw the line of demarcation, and also guardian caregiver legal rights. When they are ready to take the next step, so many times they don't know what to do. So I'm doing our best to try to also connect with that. So it's kind of wearing two hats there. And I'm going to stop talking as well, but that's where we are. And I hope that we can be of assistance, and of course, that we can collaborate together. So thank you, Rebecca, and to the group, all of Growth, for being able to allow me this little snippet of time.
Thank you, Lisa. And I'll be sure to send the information that Tyrese sent to me when we follow up on the meeting. And please, if any of you know suitable subjects, be sure to contact Lisa. Elise, do you have something you want to say?
Lisa, I just messaged you, but for this whole group, is the study specific to North Carolina, or can the caretaker be anywhere in the United States?
North Carolina right now, yes. And we are stretching as far as we're in Guilford and we're in Wake, Alamance, and we might be kind of pushing a little bit even into Forsyth. It's a possibility, but that's where we are right now, but it's North Carolina. Thank you for asking.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. And thank Teresa for contacting you and arranging for you to come. Okay, next up we have the Seviers, and they have a dual membership in this group because they are UNCG faculty, adjunct faculty. We're very pleased they just agreed to re-up on that because they are gerontology faculty affiliates and have been really supportive of the program. But they have a dual role because they're also our community partners, and that's the hats that they have on their community partner hats today. And I don't know how you two are going to divide this up, but they're here to talk about Mind My Health and also the North Carolina Serious Illness Coalition. Go take it away.
I'm going to sit here and smile.
She said she's going to sit here and smile. I'm not sure that's true. But anyway, thank you very much, Rebecca. It's great to see you all, and there's some familiar faces, but a lot of new faces too. We are sitting here in our home about a block away from campus, so we're not quite on campus, but we're almost there. So anyway, in College Hill. Thank you. We will keep it very short. Some of you know about Mind My Health. It was produced with a fairly sizable Duke Endowment grant over the last 3.5 years. It is focused on providing an opportunity for people to get their advanced care plans put together and then uploaded through the platform. I'll put the website on the chat in a moment so that you can see what it is. Additionally, over the last 1.5 years, we were invited to participate in the North Carolina Institute of Medicine's task force on serious illness care. And our colleague Mark Hensley here was also part of that task force. And it was a very interesting year or so of work to look at serious illness care across the state with about 65 other health professionals. We did a lot of work meeting monthly for pretty much of a day at the IOM offices in Cary. And that task force produced a report which was just released here recently. It is available for download, and we'll also put the link to that in the chat if you all want to look at it. It produced about 30 different recommendations to the General Assembly, as well as the Department of Health and Human Services and a number of other entities across the state. The first of which was to create a serious illness coalition. And they asked us if we might be willing to put that coalition together. So we put a new face on a older organization that had been around for a while and created the North Carolina Serious Illness Coalition. It has been in existence for a total of about 8 months, and it meets monthly, and we would like to invite all of you to participate in the Serious Illness Coalition. It has 4 work groups focused on advanced care planning, clinical practice, caregivers, and communications advocacy and education. I'll just put the link there in So the North Carolina Serious Illness Coalition has about 130 members now, ranging across the state with about 70 organizations, including AARP, a number of the various healthcare organizations, including Duke, UNC, Cone, Wake Forest Baptist, and so forth.
But also faith-based organizations as well, because one of the things that we were very aware of while we were doing the task force was that most of the serious illness care that is provided in the community, and that linkage was critically important as we were dealing with these recommendations. So we've had from the inception representatives from faith-based communities as well.
And we would love to connect with Reverend Cleveland on some of those things as well. But the coalition is basically working out most of the recommendations from that task force from the IOM. And there are 13 priority task force recommendations. And if you download the report, you'll see what those are. So we're very actively engaged in putting that together and working it out throughout the state. We have in the past had a couple of interns, one from Davidson and another one actually from UNCG. Our intern from last year was an undergraduate from the psychology department, and we have now hired her. So she is a full-time employee. We are looking for a graduate intern this year as well. And so that is one of the things that we're actively looking for is to put a intern to work on the serious illness issues. So I'm going to just kind of leave it at that to say that there's a lot of opportunity. There's some really good things. We have a monthly meeting of the coalition, as well as a weekly focus on different areas. We call it Friday Facts, and we interview different people from around the state, legislators, secretaries of administration, people who have written articles in our North Carolina Medical Journal. There was a special edition on serious illness that just was released
And I'm Vanna here.
last month that is also available for download. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll put a few more things in the chat. So thank you all very much, and thank you, Rebecca. You're muted, Rebecca.
Noticed. Okay, I should now also mention that I think Catherine and David will be doing a presentation later this year that hasn't been scheduled yet. They are adjuncts in public health, and public health will be taking the lead on that, but we'll let growth members know about it. I also failed to mention Catherine's other role in the AARP. I noticed her red outfit matching Mark Hensley. So I do want to mention she is our president in North Carolina. Okay, moving right along, one of my colleagues from the Department of Social Work, Alicia, are you still there? Yes, there you are.
Here.
Alicia Kaplan is here to talk a little bit about the internships opportunities.
Yes, so thank you, Rebecca, and thank you. Good evening, everyone. I was glad to hear Catherine and David talking about wanting interns. That's what I wanted to always remind folks. I'm co-director of field education with the Joint Master of Social Work program, or JMSW program, which is North Carolina A&T State University and UNCG. So we are always looking for more internships. This year, placing students amidst COVID has been interesting, to say the least. And we're always looking for more internships in the area of aging. So we are a multicultural clinical social work program. And so we do need a direct practice component where they get to be face-to-face with clients at some point, but they certainly could have an administrative or macro side to the placement as well. As long as it's not 100% admin, then we could get creative and make it work. So just wanted to put that out there. I will leave my email address short and sweet in the text and chat. And if folks think they might be able to have an MSW student intern, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. And I might add, I should add that there are probably lots of departments that are looking for internship placements for their students in aging. Alicia has just been very active in growth, and so I knew about her needs and the social work department's needs. Next up, before we go around and just do general introductions, is Pat Vreeland. I think I saw you pop up. Are you there, Pat? She was here a second ago.
I am here. Yes.
There you are. Okay. Pat is here representing the Junior League, and I'll let her talk about why.
Well, this is the league is focusing on senior citizen or aging this year, and does have 2 projects that they are working on. One is with Community Housing Solutions, doing things like making repairs, building ramps, etc., so that aging people can stay in place. And the other is a partnership, well, I guess you call it a partnership, with the Greensboro Farmers Curb Market, where, and this is sort of in a state of flux right now because of COVID, but the idea here is that the league provides funding for second vouchers for qualifying seniors so that they can get more produce when they come to the farmers market. Perfect situation. We would also provide assistance to the people when they come in the market. They would provide cooking tips. They would talk about, healthy food choices, and basically help them with healthier life food. But currently, since the farmers market is not having loads of seniors come through and is in a different situation, I don't think that they know quite what their volunteer responsibilities, what our volunteer responsibilities will be this year, but there will be something, because the league has a policy that their money goes with volunteers. But the president, who asked me to be here because she is involved with something else, I'm going to read what she said. She said, to tell you what, not only that we're focusing on aging again as an impact area, but we are continuing to be interested in ways that we can serve the aging community this year. And we do have some opportunities available on volunteer projects, which are like hands-on help types of things, one-time shot things. If you all have projects that you are doing in a day, you can please call on us. And she says there is some small funding for projects in the area of aging as well.
Thank you, Pat.
So that's it.
Thank you. I do want to mention that it was interesting when Elise and I were contacted about the Junior League's interest in aging. It was kind of fun to note that my very first project in Greensboro was in collaboration with the Junior League. I did the needs assessment for what became ACE with 70 volunteers from the Junior League. I mean, we had no adult daycare back then in the early 80s, so it was the first one. And then Elise just recently was involved with a group of faculty who planned the pickleball court with the help of the Junior League as well. So it was kind of fun. We already knew about the Junior League when we got contacted. So that was fun. Okay, so that was the list of people I had who wanted to speak specifically about collaborative opportunities. Is there anyone else who contacted me and I missed or didn't contact me and wants to start out? Otherwise, I'll just go around and have each person introduce themselves. Okay, I've noticed in Zoom meetings, you'll change your order, so I apologize in advance if this is a little bit chaotic. Mark, you're the first one on my screen. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Mark Hensley, AARP, North Carolina. I'm here in the Triad region. I live in Greensboro, but I cover really the central part of North Carolina with AARP. We have volunteers in the community, and we are very fortunate to have many collaborative partners, many of which are on the Zoom today. But I want to talk about just really two, one short-term and one long-term goal. And that is, first of all, it's 69 days to the election. And so AARP will spend the bulk of September and October really pushing that this election will be decided not only by people 50 and older, but predominantly women 50 and older. It's no secret that women outlive men significantly, but AARP members and people 50 plus in general are very committed to voting. And so our job is to educate them on safe ways to vote, the various ways to vote from home, to be fully educated about the issues. And the top two are pocketbook issues, Social Security and Medicare, but there are other issues too that we encourage our members to be educated about. So if there is an interest of a student or a faculty member around this issue, and I know that we also have a partnership with AARP, which is the Association of Retired Faculty at UNCG. I'll be making a presentation with them in just the next few weeks. They're very, very interested in this topic. So that's one thing. In the long term, AARP is a champion for what's known as livable and age-friendly communities, something I'm very passionate about. You may have heard about it. This is a World Health Organization movement that's been around about 7 years now. In the United States, we have over 471 communities that have signed on to be an emerging, livable, and age-friendly community, really addressing the demographic shift in our country that we're all very aware of. Specifically, Guilford County is an applicant. We've had starts and stops. I'll acknowledge the Junior League for working with us about a year ago to do a needs assessment. We have had Planet GSO 2040 be published by the city. We were given an opportunity to comment on that. We've participated in development of a Vision Zero transportation plan. So there are various and sundry opportunities if you have a student or a faculty member that really embrace this long-range planning initiative around making the community a more age-friendly community, then we're very interested in talking to you. This is happening in the city of Archdale. It's happening in Rockingham County, just getting off the ground. There's interest in Jamestown and Guilford County as a whole, Greensboro, and there have been discussions in High Point. So I throw that out as a teaser. It is our #1 priority with AARP. I'll just leave you with a statistic. I want you to think about how many crosswalks there are in the United States. Probably millions. Every one of those crosswalks are calibrated that a person takes a step every 2 seconds. As the older adult population doubles and quadruples, every one of those crosswalks have to be recalibrated because as we age, we slow down, we use assistive devices. That's just one very, very small change that has such a huge impact. Just imagine you start looking at all areas, transportation, affordable housing, walkability, bikeability, social inclusion, and volunteerism in the community. There's just a plethora of opportunities. And if you're interested, I'll be sure and put my contact information in the chat. And yes, my boss is also on this Zoom. Catherine Sevier is the president of, she is a volunteer, but she is president of AARP North Carolina and also very, very passionate about this issue.
And this is the first time I have ever heard that I'm his boss. So you heard it first here. Don't believe it.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Mark. And I do want to mention one of the things in the gerontology report is, the growth report, is we are planning a quiet, age-friendly campus initiative, but I don't want to get us sidetracked by that. It's probably going to be delayed until next year, except for some information gathering. I might tap some of you to be involved in the quiet phase. Okay, Connie, you come up next on my screen. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Connie Morse. I'm the Executive Director at Friendship Adult Day Services in Burlington, North Carolina. I've been there for, 8-9 years now. I wanted to speak out to the woman who was talking about the children, the grandchildren. I was involved with a program, the Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program that started in North Carolina, 2007 maybe. And everything she says is still happening. Everything we found then is still happening. We've got new programs starting all over. These people need assistance to raise these children. They just do. So anybody that can reach out and do that is fine. The other thing I'm going to say, I won't embarrass her because I know she'll get embarrassed if I say it. But my success story from UNCG is in this room with us. So she's amazing. She was an intern for us. She's gone on to do wonderful things. So it's very important to reach out to Alicia and put these folks to work in the field because we've been there and they can learn from us. We have to share what we know. We have to share what we know. So it's very important to do that. We have been closed for COVID since March the 23rd, but we have been talking with all of our caregivers and participants every day, Monday through Friday, helping them navigate this the best we know how, because we're learning on the fly as well. But I just want to say, and I've got to go, I'm so sorry, but I just enjoy being in a room, even if it's a Zoom room, with a lot of people who know what you do and why you do it. It's so reaffirming to be amongst all of you and know that the good work is being done. So I just want to give a handout to everybody that's here.
Thank you, Connie. There was some confusion about the timing of this meeting, and some of you think it ends at 6:15. So if I don't get to you before you have to leave the room, I apologize. But let's keep going around and let as many people as possible introduce themselves. Jaclyn Maher.
Hi, I'm Jaclyn Maher. I'm an assistant professor in the kinesiology department at UNCG, and Lori Kennedy Malone and I work together on a few projects that are looking at motivation for physical activity among older adults. And I also have interest in how physical activity and the time we spend sitting affect our well-being and mental health, or older adults' mental health.
Particularly pertinent right now, sitting, I mean. Lori, do you want to piggyback on that?
Actually, I was going to say, some of you may have attended the presentation I did in February about innovative teaching methods. And if anyone in their teaching is into topics like different aging theories or healthy aging, I actually, because my class is now completely online, have started using the Canvas video discussion, and the students are doing outstanding work. So I'd be more than happy to share with you what I've learned, but it's been such an interesting way to engage students in teaching. To instead of, I mean, a 4-hour Zoom would probably even put myself to sleep. So they've done a fantastic job. So if you need any, thoughts or creative things to do differently, message me. I can share you the videos I used, where I embedded the questions and so forth. But so far it's working great.
Hey, I was going to ask Rachel Olsen to introduce herself, and I just want to mention Rachel's going to be doing a growth workshop next Wednesday at noon. It's mainly for faculty and graduate students because it's about library research opportunities. But if any community partners want the link, just email me and I'll make sure you get it. Rachel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Olsen. I've been at UNCG for professionally about 2.5 years now. I'm the librarian for many social science disciplines, including gerontology. And so for a lot of you, I'm probably your librarian. If not, you're partnered with one of my very talented colleagues. I'll be happy to match you up. I would definitely encourage you to come to the session next week, even if you're not a UNCG affiliate, because you are entitled to services. We're a public library, we're a state-funded library, and so I am still available to provide research assistance for you. If there is some issue, for some reason, something requires UNCG login to get it, I can certainly provide you with alternatives or free resources. Noah is also a library expert and could help connect you with all kinds of things. So don't think that just because you're not UNCG affiliated that you can't come. You're certainly welcome. I'll drop my email in the chat, but any research projects that you have, anything like that, I'm happy to work with you on it.
Thank you, Rachel. Noah, why don't you go behind Rachel? Get the librarians off the list.
So great. So hello, everyone. I'm Noah Lenstra, and I'm an assistant professor of library and information science in the School of Education. And one of the primary things that I research is how public libraries are serving aging populations, aging communities. I would say that public libraries have a big part to play in creating age-friendly communities, and in fact are doing so, and especially in small and rural communities where the infrastructure is less developed. And so I've really enjoyed kind of being part of growth. And so I just wanted to share really quickly just an example. So at one of these luncheons 3 years ago, I got connected to Laura Bolton Plunkett, who is the health promotion coordinator for the PTRC Area Agency on Aging. Laura and I did some scheming, and we got librarians throughout Northwestern North Carolina trained to offer a matter of balance classes. And librarians in Sparta, Elkin, Jonesville, and Mount Airy have actually led a matter of balance classes, as well as the librarian at Randleman in Randolph County, who was trained to do Tai Chi for arthritis. The librarians are really the America's secret, but underutilized ally in efforts to create communities that are friendly to people of all ages. So reach out to us and let's get to work.
Thank you, Noah. And Noah has been my technology support person since he arrived on campus, but keep pushing me on to greater things. Bob Cain, you look like you're next on my screen.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Rebecca, for letting me join today. So my job is the marketing guy for Piedmont Home Health out of Winston-Salem. I don't like marketing. I like social work, but you know, they don't pay social workers like they pay marketing people. So I've disguised my marketing job as social work. For 20 years, I've worked on a passion insanity project, single-handedly putting together a directory of everything and everybody I can find related to senior health and housing in the Triad. It's 150 pages, password protected on our website. So it's not publicly available, but anybody in this group wants to receive it, I'll put my email in the chat and I'll, contact me. I'll put you on the listserv. Like I said, it's 150 pages. And so I send you a monthly email that says, why should you dig through 150 pages? Scroll down to the chart at the bottom and I'll tell you what changed, where Debbie Sue went, your best connection, and who took Debbie Sue's place, so that you can keep the ball going in terms of the connections across all the wonderful projects you're doing. One quick tip is, let's say you're doing one of these projects and you go, gosh, I'd really benefit from talking to every director of nursing in the Triad in senior health and housing. All department heads listed by name and title, go to the search box, type in director of nursing, and you've got an A to Z listing of every one of them. For you professors who have fabulous students, like many of them I met through Trala, when a position department head level position comes open, I put 5 dashes. What a great thing to be able to go and do the 5-dash search and go, oh, Sally Sue would be a great gerontologist at this agency, and pass the word on to her. So hopefully that helps. I'll let the next person go. Thanks.
And I'm very excited to see not just one, but 2 alums I haven't seen faces of for a long time. Christina, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Christina Peoples, and I was in the graduate program, the gerontology graduate program, and I finished back in 2017. And currently, I work for the Piedmont Triad Regional Council Area Agency on Aging as a long-term care ombudsman. And then outside of that, on my personal stuff, I have an aging blog known as Gerald What, and it is geared towards changing the perspective on aging. And I really enjoyed just hearing from everyone about the opportunities and resources that are available.
Thank you, Christina. I was so excited when your email popped up. And Rachel, you're a surprise. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Rachel Pennington. I graduated from UNCG, Masters of Gerontology in 2018, right? It feels like a long time ago, but I am the director of the Leaf Adult Day Health Center in Reedsville. So I'm going to be reaching out to you, Alicia, about internship, possible partnerships with our parent aid. Our parent organization is Aging, Disability, and Transit Services of Rockingham County. So we have quite a few opportunities. We're one of the larger employers in the county. So,
Hey, Frances, another member of the Growth Executive Committee.
Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure listening to all of these wonderful initiatives and efforts. I actually am a lecturer in the philosophy department here at UNCG. So as you can imagine, a lot of my work is pretty theoretical, but it's definitely inspired by a lot of hard practical experience. Both my parents had dementia and passed away 2 years ago, and I was their primary, I won't say caregiver because unfortunately they were in Canada and I couldn't bring them here with me, but I was their point person, if you will. So I work on philosophy of aging and philosophy of dementia as a direct result of those experiences. And what I would say is that I'm super excited because I am getting involved in a practical initiative. This initiative is a grassroots coalition, and it is called, let me get the name. Our coalition is called Reimagining Dementia, a Creative Coalition for Justice. And it is an international group of healthcare professionals, academics, people living with dementia and their family members and community members, all kinds of people interested in transforming the broader culture that stigmatizes people living with dementia in particular in very harmful ways. And so I won't say more than that just because our official launch isn't until September 8th. But what I'll do in the chat, I'll just post my email address as well as the title of our coalition. And we do have a call to action that's being finalized. So if you're interested in seeing that and maybe even signing your name onto it and learning more about us in terms of the launch, I would be so happy to have you on my list. So thank you.
Thank you, Frances. And I'm reminded that you know Ed, so I'll go to Ed next. Would you like to introduce yourself, and then Ted?
Unmute myself. Thank you. I regard myself really as an interloper. I'm Ed Winslow, and first became aware of this group because of the library presentation. I didn't realize it was 3 years ago, but at that point I was a member of the Greensboro Public Library Foundation's board, and that brought me here. I'm also a member of the board of the Tannenbaum Sternberger Foundation, which funds local projects that touch many of the issues here. And I'm a lawyer and have been active and actually recently spoke and published about aging in the legal profession. So those are the impetuses for my interest. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Well, thank you, Ed, and thank you for sending me information on retirement for my class. I'm going to use your article. Okay, and last but not least, Ted, are you still there? Ted Shalick? He may have stepped away.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm here.
Oh, would you like to introduce?
Unmute mute button there for a second. I'm Ted Shalick, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer over at Pennyburn at Merrifield out in High Point. And we have the full accommodations for the elderly. We've got 125 beds of skilled nursing, 48 units of assisted living, and 180 independent living units. And we've got a pretty active community. And fortunately, I knock on wood saying this, at this point in time, we have had no COVID cases. So we are very fortunate, yes. And we're going through the whole protocol of maintaining the testing as you see the states requiring, and going through that whole process. So we're a real interesting process of learning how to keep up with this whole process, whole organization. And we've got a great director of healthcare here who's just really on top of the whole thing. And I've heard a couple of you talk about interns, et cetera, and that's something I'm going to talk to our people about, those who are working with the social workers, et cetera, because that is a profession that the more I've worked in this business, the more respect I have for the social workers. It is such a tough job. I am just really impressed with that whole group, and if we can help out, we will. Thank you.
Well, I see that people are departing, but I just want to say, if people want to stay and talk, I'm fine. I'm happy to stay on. But first, I just want to thank everybody for coming. Please email me if you have any suggestions about whether we should do this again. We don't have another thing like this scheduled for this semester. We do have a couple of presentations coming up, which you'll receive notices for, but we hadn't planned another networking event. I must admit I'm a little bit happier now that this worked out okay. But if you have any suggestions for improving it, please do email me. If people have to leave, please do. If you want to hang around for a little last minute conversation, that's fine. And thank you so much. It's just really good to see all of you and to hear about all of your good work. And please keep me posted if any collaborations come out of this, because I like to document those for our annual report.